Okay. Let's see, that one's recording. That one is, what's going on with that one? That one's recording too. Okay, cool. We'll try and see which one of them does better. Maybe both of them together. Maybe if we wander off this way, we'll be able to get better shots over here.
Yeah.
So I go back and forth. Yeah.
Spice with them.
Okay. Let's start the lesson. Well, Jimmy, this is your, the way I figured, roughly 28 hours into it.
48 hours, yeah.
Roughly 28 hours study time. And, well, let's go for it.
Yep.
Let's start with the push-ups, get a warm-up going. Find yourself a nice, comfortable place, a pavement, giant rocks, something like that. And again, for expediency reasons, we're going to do another video later on for just strictly exercise. But for expediency reasons, to show the rest of the stuff, we're going to go ahead and just do a quick 10 and 10 or 10 and 20 or
Yeah, 10 and 10.
10 and 10?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. 10 knuckle push-ups. Try and keep your arms relaxed as much as possible. Try and relax as many muscle groups as possible for the purposes of not using up oxygen, because your muscles are using up oxygen. So we're trying to limit that by relaxing as many muscle groups as possible. For the purposes of gaining back oxygen that you're using up, you can do either quick, shallow breathing, kind of like hyperventilating, or you can go ahead and try and keep a pendulum breathing on a constant basis as you're moving, but you're going to need to experiment little by little where's the best for you. As we're going to be doing the exercises, you're going to hear us breathing pretty much like a pendulum. So let's go. 10. Find a nice even place, even distribution of weight. Relax as many muscle groups as possible, and let's go. Breathe out on the way up, breathe in on the way down. All right, sit-ups. Keep your back straight. You want to relax your shoulders forward. Same thing again. As many muscle groups as possible are relaxed. Most of the weight should go on the outer thighs. Most of the muscle pressure should be on top of the knees and on top of the thighs. The back should be relaxed and shouldn't have any arch to it whatsoever. It should be nice and straight and level. All right. Okay. Breathe out on the way down, because inside you it's like a balloon of air, and as you're getting compressed inward, that balloon seeks to try and push on your other organs. So as you're going down and collapsing, you want to breathe out. As you're coming up, you want to breathe in. That'll also help you get up. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's try and do some falls really quickly, or I'll just show how quickly falls. Sure. A few rolls. Falling is, like always, one of the number one things. Most people have a fear of it. So, again, under nicely controlled conditions, you should learn how to fall. Jim, can you demonstrate, please? Nice and relaxed. You want to be like one of those toys that's made out of beads and a rope. You release the rope and the toy just, boom, collapses and falls apart. Very nice and relaxed. Just like that. And the idea is to end up on the ground not in a tense position, but in an absolutely relaxed state. You want to keep your hand behind your head for the purposes, obviously, as you're first starting out. You don't want to go ahead and have a bit of a whiplash and hit your head on the ground. Okay, when we do a few of them, then, how many did you do? About 7. Getting up should be like a pendulum movement as well. As you're coming down, you're bringing yourself back up. Most of the power comes from the inner body, the main trunk, not from the outer edges, which we look at as gears, like on the transmission. 6 gears the furthest. First gear is where you get the most torque. 6 gears where you get the most speed. So we're gonna be working on that today a little bit later. I don't know that we're going to do much explanation on it. I don't think we will. But in the other videos, we did more explanation on that. Right? You might want to go ahead and take a step forward as you're doing this. Like if you were walking towards somebody, just go ahead and... It's very good for evading a active shooter. If, for instance, Jim has a gun, you can temporarily evade him to be able to move into a different position. So later on, I'll go ahead and make a video to show how you keep into the lower level acrobatics rather than just doing a one movement routine. I guess I can do it for instance really quickly. So if I'm walking towards him, he's got his gun, I go ahead and fall down, move back, simulate like I've been shot, or let's go ahead and do the same thing. Okay. Come right back to him. As he's not quite ready, you can still work against the weapon, or you can come in and work against the shooter. Hopefully somewhat explainable. But again, to do all this, you first have to do it slow rolling, slow falling down. And then as you're doing one and transitioning to the other, you have to constantly keep breathing or you'll find yourself out of breath. All right, what do we want to do, Jimmy? Let's work on 6 months. Okay, go ahead. This exercise, just let's do the, yep, just to get the feel. This is where you're, for one, getting used to touching another person. And on the other hand, you're also looking and working at first the skeletal system and then the muscular system. Because the skeletal system is the lever system. The muscular system is what he's feeling for is the resistance points on the muscular and the nervous system. You're getting used to it, and he's working the levers. Jimmy, can you demonstrate, just kind of point out some levers that you're working on?
Sure. You got your 6 points, starting at your neck, shoulder, elbows, wrist, hip, knee, ankle. If you extend any of these 6 points into an extension, you then create a lever. You got short levers, which are going to be your power levers, which are going to be quick reactions. If you extend and lock these levers into longer levers, you then have what's then referred to as strength levers, where they're requiring less effort to get more reaction.
So we covered the main levers in the other video. So just kind of demonstrate what you see as a lever and what you're actually working on. Like for instance, here would be a lever that I'm looking at and the resistant points to which I can get the turning radius of the elbow. So that your muscular memory remembers what it is, and on different people it's a little bit different, but you're mainly studying resistance points. Here, a short lever, again, Here, another short lever again, and you're pushing till you get resistance, and that's more than enough to learn from. Here's another point afterwards that develops. Here's another one that develops. Here's, you go ahead, you show.
So you can extend
Since
your
you're
leverage
working on,
from the wrist all the way to that shoulder,
Mhm.
or back to this shoulder.
or all the
You
way.
can extend this up here to create a lever throughout the entire body,
Mhm.
all the way to the foot. You can extend two levers at the same time and work them in different fashions as well. You can combine short levers with longer levers to create less resistance in areas that you need it, depending on what response you're requiring.
These are some examples. Again, at leverage, this one would be crisscross from the hip to the shoulder, from the other hip to the other shoulder. And he's basically looking for the range of motion. He's getting used to working with another person, and he's also looking at, again, the resistance points on the muscular system. So this exercise here is fairly close to one of the other exercises that we're going to be doing, is the mannequin. Which hopefully I won't forget and end up showing you. You want to work on all basically, let's say you start at the wrist and you keep going up, up, up to the head, to the nose, to the eyebrows, and then just kind of keep working your way around the other arm. And then you want to work the shoulders, the hips, try and miss and match. I mean, as you're working the elbow, you can actually take a look and see how the hips are reacting, right? So as you're working this lever, you can kind of check and see how it all lines up. Boom, 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 right along here, or all the way to the head, or extending further, right? Well, I'm going to go ahead and just work on it then. Yeah, checking for resistance. You can lock in levers not only by the virtue of turning or lock in a soft body into a solid body, which then creates a lever with a correct pivot point. But you can also lock in. Now the arm is locked in. Now it's one solid piece. If I keep turning this, right, more locks in, shoulder, shoulder locks in. If I keep turning this, the back starts to lock in all the way to the leg. So at some point, the whole structure starts locking in. Now it's just one massive lever. Granted, it's a little crooked, but it is a lever. Don't forget to work on the legs. As you're working on the legs, you want to make sure, and again, catch that range of motion, catch where you're getting resistance, and where you feel like he's about to fall down. Like here, he's about to fall down. I'm going to bring him right back. Same thing across the board on this side. Same thing all the way through. You're working, trying to work the hips as levers. Again, there's a lot of range of motion on the hips. That's you'll find out how surprisingly how much motion there is on that. Crisscross, and the other side, the arm, the shoulders, and you're going again. Because not only are you feeling his resistance, he's feeling how it is that you're working on him. So if an attacker is working on him, he's also able to work within that situation. He's getting the muscle memory developed, right? Don't just work, let's say, on the face from this side because this is more comfortable. Work on the face from over here. Work on it from this angle on the sticks, on the levers. Work on it from this way. Try and work on it from here. Try and work on it from here. Try and work on it from behind. Anywhere you go, this is what makes it quite different than most of the other things that you might have learned about as far as like stationary movement-based systems, where this here gives you the ability to basically just look at the structure, look at a machine, look at an excavator, if you will. These are levers. This is what we're working against. So by the virtue of me moving a little bit this way, I'm already starting to see different things happening. If I move over here this way, I'm already starting to see different things happening. By the virtue of me, let's say, coming in closer and I'm on top, I'm already starting to see different levers developing. If I'm, let's say, shorter, I start seeing different levers developing. You see what I mean? So in this sense, this is no longer a dogmatic style to say, okay, if you move like this, then this is the result you get. But if you're right here, and I was showing you this one here, well, from this position, it would be kind of awkward to try and work this because obviously you're not in a position for it. But if you're in a position for it right down here, you can most certainly work that. Now here's another lever that would show up. Here's another one. Yeah, here's a leg. Here's another one, and he's laid out pretty much. Right? Okay. Let's you go ahead and drop me, and then just keep dropping me until. Again, bear in mind, Jim had 28 hours of learning. Try and fall nice and relaxed. You're working with a quarter effort. You're trying to. Jim, are you tired any?
Not at all.
Not at all. Constant breathing, constant movement. By the virtue of being able to get the correct leverage due to using and seeing the lever system. Yeah, I'm getting more winded than I even ought to be.
Falling's harder.
Falling's much harder, especially if you're doing rolls. But, whew. Muscular system used up a lot of air in this case. I either didn't breathe quite enough or maybe even got a little bit more tense than I normally get. I'm not in the best of feeling today.
We didn't warm up as much as we are.
Yeah, we didn't warm up as much as we normally do, but the warm up is mainly for one main reason to the warm up that we did just a short one today is to actually get you so tired out that you can't really use strength too much because you just don't have the strength to do it. I mean, you're almost like a rubber band at that point. You really don't have any power to give. So at that point, you're actually more just using what's there. You want to keep going with this?
Oh, go ahead.
My turn? Okay. So you're starting to look at levers. Again, at first, we did this relatively fast. I want everybody who's learning this or looking at this to do it slow. So, for instance, if I go ahead and push down, why isn't it working? He is in a stationary zero position. If you see he's standing absolutely nice and straight. You need to, for the use of this lever, bring the whole structure at first off balance. How do you do that? By, for one, you stepping over by yourself. Now, you're at a nice stationary position. He is off kilter just by the virtue of you taking a little step to the side. So just like this, boom. Now he's off kilter. You can start looking at different levers. Here's one right here that develops, right? Here's another one that develops, if you can see. Here, if you push down, there's another one that develops. If you start looking at this way, there's another one. If you start looking at this way, there's another one. If you start bringing him around, it's done. So it's not that you're going, again, not a move-based system. It's not that you went, and that's it. And he just fell over and everything is done, right? If you, let's say, went this way and it didn't work, right? Why? You start looking and analyzing it. Did you create a pivot point that you were supposed to? Did you step far enough away as it was supposed to happen? And then from there, if let's say it didn't work, you start looking at what else do we have here? We have his head here. We can create a pivot point right here. Here's another lever that develops, and there he is laid out. From the hips, same thing. Put him in this way. Here's another lever that develops. Here's another lever that develops. Here's another one that develops. So you just start looking at those things, right? Those points where you can use that. So at first, I want you to do it very slowly. You can do it either from a stand-up position or from a knee-down position. Can you do a knee-down position, please? One knee. Yep, like this. So right here, you can start visualizing. What are we seeing here? This is a pivot point. His elbow right here. His elbow is pivoted on this knee. So if I lock the two together as a machine, right, these 2 points, boom, the whole structure falls over as like a breaking point on a machine, right? If I go ahead and go the opposite way, there is my other lever that develops. Here I can go this way. So what I want you to do is actually to experiment. You need a second person for this in order to be able to see this. So if I go here and here, he's done. If not only from the straight ahead, you need to actually come around and take a look at different things. If I can use my leg in this way to push this lever forward, now what happens? Now what do I have? So let's say I go ahead and push you here. What do I have here? I see another lever right over here, which is his back of his foot. This is not to be used as dogma. This is actually just a... Yeah.
Making video?
Yeah.
We got energy drink from my sons.
Oh, cool.
You want to try half of it?
Not tonight.
No, I'm asking Mike.
Yeah, I'll try some of it, I guess. For the commercial, or Marcellus.
Yeah,
I'll open it.
drink half of it. Don't drink all of it.
Don't drink the whole thing?
Oh, drink half. You don't want to run around, right?
What?
Mama.
I
Yeah.
thought that was the idea. So I just drink the whole thing, right?
No, I said half of it. Half.
Mom.
What? Yes, you can. Yes.
All right. There's your promotional.
Just
Mm.
drink half.
This actually tastes really good.
Yeah, it
It's a
does.
bottle like a 5-hour energy, but
Mom, can I put it in the box?
It's,
Mom, can I put it in the box?
Like a movie stuff.
tastes
Can I
really
put it in the
good.
box?
Tastes really grapey. It doesn't have that weird aftertaste like medicine.
Okay, so
Here you go, honey.
nice. And then tell me how it works.
So this is what I want you to do. Do not repeat what I'm doing as a move because it is not. I'm looking at levers. Again, here's a pivot point. Here's the structure, right? Here's a lever. So if I lock in this one, the whole structure comes over. You see? Here's shoulders. There's hips. If I'm looking at the hips, here he is pivoting on this leg. If I go ahead and lock him in this way, the whole structure falls over. Kind of like a folding, like he folds into himself. Shoulders right here are kind of obvious, where you have just one long stick going across. The head, as he sits right here, there's the pivot point. We go ahead and just bring him right back and around. Okay. Let's stand up. Work on it for a little bit. Here we have the legs. Here we have I don't want to go through the whole gamut of it because I need you to try, and this is why the previous exercise where you are actually trying to get the feel for the resistance, but also you're looking at the levers themselves. All right. This exercise then actually allows you to see where it works, where it doesn't work. So like if I go ahead and pull here, this is a nice string. The whole structure collapses. From here to here, again, this is not going to be, remember, I'm pushing right here, I'm grabbing here, and then from there you got something going. If I'm standing right here, this doesn't feel comfortable because if I go ahead and go over here, Jimmy, take a step over a little bit, the other way. Oh, now all of a sudden he's got me, right?
Right.
So from here, it feels good. If I'm just a few inches over, and I go over here, Jimmy, work against me. I'm going the opposite way. Right? Do you feel this? Are you feeling it?
Yeah.
So if I'm going from here over here, right? If you just step over that, oh, now I'm the one that lost the initiative. Although you thought that you had it, but just based on the move. If I'm over here and I'm reaching over this way, Jimmy, work against me. Same thing. If from here, let's say, I'm over here and I want to work this, and here's what I see happening, as you can see there's a stick, there's another one, there's more things that are happening right here, right? Stand up a little bit. Now, from this position, it felt really good for me. Now, if I go ahead and take a little bit of a step back, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. From this distance, Jimmy, work against this, please. In other words, it's not about a move. So please do not regard it as such. From here, if I'm all the way over here, and then I feel that for some reason I need to go this way and work against him in this light, the same thing happening from over here, just a few inches closer, and then I'm going ahead and doing the same thing. Give me work against that, please. Because he would be able to see the same kind of levers as well. So it's not just me seeing it and he's not. You see what I mean? To look at another thing, if we are connected right here, at first you might start thinking that this is one machine, this is two machines. Well, if we're connected, then this is one machine. Who's got the initiative? We're in the same position. So if I want the initiative, I have to bring him closer. Now I have the initiative, right? If he wants it, he's got to bring me closer. And if you can see the way my body just went oop and went off kilter, right? Oh, right there. Which one of us has the initiative right here? Neither one. It's about the same. So which one of us has the initiative right here? I do, because of my pivot point and because of this lever that developed right here. Because from here, using the actual lever, in this case, strength lever. What else?
Knees.
Oh, knees. You wanted to work on that. When you're working on the lower level, this is why we were doing squats. For the punching is why we were doing push-ups, the knuckle push-ups. We were doing them relaxed for the purposes of being able to throw the correct punch. The squats. We were doing for the purposes of if you were working against them in this regard, what happens if I go like this to work on the knees, Jimmy? No, work against me. If I go ahead and go down to work on these knees like this, Jimmy, work against me. It's pretty difficult for him to work in this light. He has to actually make a more of a longer movement in order then for me to possibly put him into a bad situation from here. But from here, why we're doing those squats, again, it's so we can work here, we can work here, we can bring him down over to the side and then stand up and come back down with relative ease. So let's say if I'm pulling him over here, here's his leg, there he goes. So maybe, let's say, maybe he got a good punch on me, for instance, right? And I end up going down, like you're, like I'm going down. Well, here's something that already leads him to his demise. Then from here, let's say if we get into a wrestling, tussling match, it's always good to break that rhythm by throwing a punch, by giving an elbow hit somewhere in order for whoever is all tense and back and forth like this to just stop what he's doing to concentrate on that hit. So in a lot of times, just by hitting him right here a little bit, look how his structure changed. With a simple hit. Another hit, his structure changed. Another hit, structure changed. So you can work on those same 6 levers that we were looking at just by the virtue of punching and hitting and kicking, but kicking not so much like you're going huh, or huh. You're more pushing rather than kicking. Kind of just as easily and without using much energy as we were doing this. Same way, you're just basically just giving it a slight push and working a lever. If let's say I'm going over here, well, it might behoove me to just push him right here, for instance. Again, it's not that I'm kicking him. It's that I give it the tension right here. He needs to go over, right? So at this point, if I'm helping him out with my hand, he's going over. But if I move his hip out of the way, that releases the pressure off of this leg, and this leg starts to collapse because of the twisting motion, right? Okay, so, okay, let me drop you a few times.
Sure.
Since I have the pleasure of doing that, you just have yours. This is on the quick side. So you start slowly, and then you move on to the faster and more once you get your muscle memory. If you don't have it, if you're just a beginner, do not try. If you see, we're not just jumping around all over the place and trying to do this. You standing there waiting for me to drop them?